like to call this meeting to order of the Folsom Cordova Unified School District. Superintendent, if you can call roll.
My
Please.
pleasure. Mr. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Chalem-Shurla.
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Here.
Ms. Larrett. Mr. Clark.
Here.
Please note for the record that trustee Larrett is absent.
All right, thank you. Before we go into closed session, I do understand that we have 2 public comments.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sarah Robert. I'm here as a parent and advocate and a voice for my daughter and her peers, 5 young women who have been subjected to, have been subjected to sexual harassment and misconduct by Mr. Mayor while attending Cordova High. They bravely spoke up, and I'm incredibly proud of them for doing what is right. Conrad made repeated inappropriate comments telling my daughter that he could recognize her by her cute little ass when she was walking home, calling her pretty girl, and saying she could have any boy at school, among other statements that made her and others uncomfortable. If you go read the documents, and then you'll see for yourselves. When I read it all, I was even more disgusted. Even reaching out through social media from his personal account, these were not harmless remarks and actions. They were violations of trust, abuse, and authority, and clear evidence of predatory behavior. No amount of community support or past contributions should excuse such actions. Silence allows misconduct to persist. This is not just about my daughter and her peers. This is about the precedent that we set. Will we teach young women that their voices do not matter? Ignoring their truth sends a message that safety and justice are conditional. And that those in power are protected while victims are silenced. That cannot stand. On behalf of all students and parents, I demand accountability be held and that protection, respect, and justice for the students be prioritized. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. And I do believe that there is one online.
Yes, Kaylee Mize.
Good evening. Give me just 1 second, please. Bye. Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Kaylee Mize, and I am a proud Cordova High graduate for class of 2025. I've lived in this community for over 13 years. This is my home. I've walked these halls, trusted this district, and believed, like many students, that the adults were here to protect us. But today I'm speaking because that trust was deeply violated. Conrad Mayer, a campus monitor, made inappropriate and sexual comments about my body. That is not just unprofessional, it is predatory. I did not ask for that kind of attention. I did not invite it, and I shouldn't have to sit here and convince everybody that it's wrong. Since the last board meeting, more students have came forward about their own stories about Conrad Mayer. This is a pattern of behavior, and yet his termination has been delayed, questioned, and asked as if there is still something to consider. Let me be clear, Conrad Mayer should be terminated, not later, now. The fact that this is even up for debate is painful. It tells every student who's experienced harm that their safety is subject to procedure, that their trauma is subject to the board's comfort level. That is unacceptable. I have younger siblings in this district. I will not stop fighting, not just for myself, but for them, because they deserve better. And we all deserve to go to a school without the fear of being harassed by the very adults who are supposed to keep us safe. And to the community I've been a part of for more than 13 years, the way my trauma has been dismissed is not okay. I should not have to fight to be believed in a place where that's supposed to care about its students. So I'm here tonight to say something that should have already been said. Conrad Mayer should not be remained employed by the district. He should be terminated immediately. Anything less is a failure to protect students and a failure of leadership. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mize. There is one more. I will accept that, but after that, we will have to close and go into closed session.
Kamiko Holster.
Good afternoon, Tamiko.
Hello. Give me one moment, please. Hey, Young. My name is Kamiko Hostler, and I come from the village of Talk Mills on the Hoopa Valley Reservation. I'm here in support of Kaylee Mize, a student at Cordova High. By refusing to remove Conrad Mayer, this district is not only failing Kaylee, it is sending a message to every Native student, every survivor, and every young person watching that their safety is negotiable. That speaking out doesn't matter, that even when you do everything right, the system still won't protect you. As a Native woman, I know this story too well. Our communities carry the weight of generations of silence, of violence that was ignored, denied, or buried. Native girls and women go missing and are murdered at staggering rates, that of 10 times the national average. And when we speak out, we're met with disbelief or dismissal. Kaylee did not stay silent. She stood up with strength and clarity, and this board now has a choice to meet her with justice or with more harm and trauma. This is not just about one staff member. This is about what you are willing to tolerate in your schools and who you are willing to sacrifice. We urge you to terminate Conrad Mayer immediately. Choosing anything less is choosing complicity. Protect your students, believe them, and be brave enough to do what is right. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Those nights. With that being said, we will now adjourn to closed session, where we will discuss student matters, employee-employer relations, conference with legal counsel, conference with real property negotiators, conference with labor negotiators, and personnel matters. I hereby adjourn this into closed session. Good afternoon. Today is June 18th, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Folsom Cordova Unified School District to order. Superintendent, if you can call roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Chalem-Chirla.
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Here.
Ms. Larrett. Mr. Clark.
Here.
Please note for the record, Ms. Larrett is absent.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We will start with the land acknowledgement.
As the Folsom Cordova Unified School District, we acknowledge that our administrative facilities and schools occupy the unceded territory of the Nisenan and Miwok, the original people of the land, of the skies, land, and waters where we work and learn.
We also recognize the presence and ancestral stewardship of the Nishinan ancestral tribes, the Esto, Nadamuse, and Nisum Pawanan to the north, and the Miwok ancestral tribes, the Amakumne, Consumne, Hapumne, and Makulne to the south along the Great Sacramento River systems since time immemorial.
We understand that this land upon which our institutions are built was once flourishing with natural resources and sustained by ancestral knowledge and practices of these indigenous communities.
We acknowledge the injustices of the colonialism and attempted genocide that have impacted those communities and recognize the resilience of their descendants who continue to thrive today. In our daily endeavors of teaching, learning, leadership, and community engagement, we commit to supporting, respecting, and honoring their culture, traditions, and lifeways.
We pledge to work together for the evolving vision of the Miwok and Nishinan, especially all future generations.
All right, thank you. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. With me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. A broadcast statement and recording is being made at the direction of the board, and the broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Tonight's meeting is being live streamed on the district's YouTube channel. The recording will be cablecast as replays on Metro Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs channel, on the Comcast and DirecTV UVerse cable systems. The recording will also be closed captioned and video live streamed at Metro 14 live saccounty.gov. The Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board Policy 1313 promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among employees, parents, and the public. We will treat staff, parents, and members of the public with respect and ask the same in return. If any member of the public uses obscenities or communicates in a demanding, loud, insulting, and/or demeaning manner, the board will calmly and politely admonish the person to communicate civilly. Public comments during board meetings are an important component of public engagement and transparency. Members of the public will not be permitted to yield their speaking time to another member of the public. All written communication submitted by 3 p.m. today to the board has been read. Per the Brown Act, the board is not allowed to enter into a two-way discussion on any matter not on the agenda. With that being said, we'll go to item 5, reporting out a closed session. Superintendent?
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Item 6, adoption of agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the agenda with acknowledgement that one item, we have to go back into closed session at the end of the meeting and then report back out. And that item is item 7, no, I'm sorry, item 12F.
That's been granted. Yes, sir. Thank you. And that is a motion.
I'll second.
Yes, moved by Board Member Reed, second by Board Member Chalem-Churla. Superintendent?
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you, sir. Agenda consent.
Mr. President, I'll pull item number M.
Item M. All right, thank you, sir. And there's also been a request to pull item E, F, and I.
I move that we approve consent except for E, F, I, and M.
I'll second.
Moved by Board Member Reed, second by Board Member Lofthouse. Superintendent?
Yes, sir. Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, sir. I do understand at this time we do have an announcement.
Yes, sir. We have 3 special celebrations. Folsom Cordova is pleased to announce Dr. Jennifer Sandfort as the Assistant Principal of Cordova Villa Elementary School for the 25-26 school year. With 24 years of experience in education, Dr. Sandfort first joined Folsom Cordova Unified School District in 2008. After a brief departure in 2010, she returned to FCUSD in 2014 and has served in a variety of teaching and leadership roles across the Folsom and Rancho Cordova school sites and is recognized for building strong relationships with the staff, students, communities she has been a part of. Most recently, she served as an instructional coach at Cordova Meadows Elementary School, where she supported both student learning and teacher development. Through collaborative leadership, a data-informed mindset, and a heartfelt dedication to equity and excellence, Dr. Sandfort is committed to working alongside the Cordova Villa staff and community to foster a positive, inclusive school culture where all students thrive both academically and socially. She also brings strong instructional leadership and deep commitment to empowering and supporting staff through meaningful collaboration, ongoing professional growth, and strong partnerships with families and community organizations. Dr. Sandfort holds a bachelor's degree in academic studies from Sam Houston State University, a master's degree in curriculum and teaching from Michigan State University, and a doctorate in education leadership from UC Davis. Originally from Texas, she has called California home for over 19 years. She resides with her husband and 11-year-old son, who will be a 6th grader at Folsom Middle School this fall. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jennifer Sandfort to the Cordova Villa team.
Right.
To thank Superintendent Swanson, the Cabinet, and Board of Education for this opportunity. I'm honored to serve as the new Assistant Principal at Cordova Villa Elementary. In August, I look forward to getting to know the students, families, and staff and partnering with them to support a positive, inclusive, and successful school year. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
And Dr. Sandfort, on your bio, I didn't see Teacher of the Year. Did we? Okay, Folsom Cordova Teacher of the Year. So yeah,
Got
just
it.
all right. So up next, Folsom Cordova is pleased to announce Sean Hunter as the new Assistant Principal at Vista Del Lago High School for the 25-26 school year. Mr. Hunter has been dedicated member of the Vista Del Lago High School community for a decade. For the past 10 years, he has taught physical education and health. And for the last 8 years, he has served as the physical education department lead. His leadership has helped shape a comprehensive student-centered PE program that emphasizes wellness, personal growth, and lifelong fitness. In addition to his role in the classroom, Mr. Hunter has served as Vista Del Lago's athletic director, where he has overseen the growth of athletic programs, promoted academic excellence among student athletes, and helped shape the athletic culture. Prior to joining Vista Del Lago High School, he also held the role of athletic director and coached volleyball at the high school and collegiate levels in Southern California. Mr. Hunter brings over 20 years of educational experience and holds a Bachelor of Arts in Business Management and a Master of Arts in Education. His work is rooted in the belief that strong relationships, high expectations, and collaborative leadership are the foundation of a thriving school community. As he transitions into the role of assistant principal, Mr. Hunter is excited to continue supporting students, staff, and families at Vista Del Lago High School. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sean Hunter as the next assistant principal at Vista Del Lago High School.
I just wanted to first say thank you for the opportunity. I'm very excited. As my bio stated, I've been at Vista for 10 years and just really, really excited to continue my stay there. It's been my home, and I'm excited to continue to support our students and staff to the best of my ability. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, up next, the Folsom Cordova Unified School District is proud to announce the appointment of Phil Lenhart as the new principal of Vista Del Lago High School for the 25-26 school year. Mr. Lenhart brings a wealth of experience and a deep commitment to student success. He began his educational career in 2005 in the Grant Union High School District, where he served as a high school math teacher, coach, department chair, and WASP coordinator. After a decade in the district, he joined Folsom Cordova as a math teacher at Vista Del Lago High School. During his time at Vista, he also served as an intervention coordinator, led the development and implementation of the intervention period, coached baseball, and was the math department division leader. Most recently, Mr. Lenhart has spent the past 5 years as an assistant principal at Ponderosa High School. There, he focused on supporting staff and students, creating an intervention period, and strengthening the school's professional learning communities. Known for his collaborative leadership and positive presence on campus, Mr. Lenhart is passionate about ensuring that every student receives a high-quality education. He is dedicated to fostering a safe, inclusive, and engaging learning environment where all students can thrive. I am honored and excited to return home to Vista Del Lago High School, said Mr. Lenhart. My goal is to continue the outstanding work that has been taking place for the past 18 years and to build upon the strong culture that makes Vista such a special place for students, families, and staff. Mr. Lenhart holds a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from Valparaiso University and a Master of Science in Educational Administration from National University. Please join me in welcoming back Mr. Lenhart to the FCUSD team as the next principal of Vista Del Lago High School.
So I just want to thank, that's way too close. I just want to thank the board and Superintendent Swanson for all those, just the confidence in me to do this job. I'm very excited to go back. And I was talking to Tracy a minute ago and she's like, well, you're always excited. I am really even more excited than I generally would be. And just working with the team there, I know it's got just such a great foundation. Working with Lori, John, and Kim and all the previous administrative team there, I cannot wait to go back and just grow the culture and the programs they already have. So thank you, and it's going to be great.
Thank you. Superintendent, is that it as far as announcements?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We will now address items that were pulled. It looks like, let's go with item E. Superintendent?
Yeah, I believe we pulled this. There was a public comment. This is to approve the revised middle and high school course outlines.
All right, any questions from the board? We'll take it out to the public. Faith Smith.
Hi, my name is Faith Smith. I want to talk about this item, or what we pulled it, because it talks about now, like, people can enroll in college courses independently, and it can count towards their high school transcript. And I wanted to make sure that this opportunity becomes aware to all the high school students rather than just being put out there without anybody knowing, so that nobody actually knows that that opportunity is there. Like, there's the English that's now available that will count as like English, which would count as, since I took it, I would know it counts as the senior year AP English. And then there was also the math too, and there was like a bunch of other classes that would count as like ethnic studies, world language. So I wanted to make sure that this, or I wanted to bring up that this should be made aware to all the high school students, maybe have an assembly, maybe have an announcement, so that all the high school students know that they can independently enroll without, taking it at the high school, and then having that count towards their actual high school transcript so they can get ahead. And also, like, to ensure that, it's told, and not only told to a select few students. So like, for example, jazz band, only a select few students. Don't make this like that. Make sure that all the students know and all the students have that opportunity, especially because it can help them get ahead in college too. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of students that want to get ahead in college, or, want to lessen their college fees, and this could be extremely helpful for them to know that they can do that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Faith. Appreciate it. Looks like we do have another speaker, Earl Smith.
Good evening, Board, President Clark, Mr. Swanson, and the district. Faith's sophomore year, as many has heard many times, it was extremely troubling. I sent her transcripts, her high school transcripts, to the entire board and Mr. Swanson, and you see her sophomore year, they're all Bs, while everything else is all As. The counselors at Folsom High, I'm like a broken record. I've grown up knowing sometimes you gotta ask someone the question 3 times before it actually absorbs in them and they actually hear you. So with all the drama going on, I was looking for an opportunity that would be a step up for Faith in giving her a break at Folsom High. And what was that? I would see these YouTube videos of this middle school kids graduating with these 4 AA degrees and all this. I was like, how is that possible? Well, I found that with Visions, they allowed the college classes to work towards their high school graduation. So I was excited to see this here. However, the sophomore year, the counselors, they had no clue how this could actually work. And it's always no, 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 no. You can't take, if we offer at the high school, you can't take it at the community college and count towards your high school graduation. So, Mr. Swanson, I said I would give you credit, but you said the team. He's a fair man. So I want to thank the team for having this opportunity. However, I want to make sure that the community knows there is a lot of high-achieving students in the district. That was one reason I even stayed here, or why I even live in an apartment and I didn't buy a house, so I can get up and leave if I have to. As you guys see her transcripts, Faith, in her junior year, she completed more units by doing the 11 units maximum each semester at the community college that is now in our high school transcripts. So I want to applaud the district for including this for students, but just as Faith said, I would like to make sure, Mr. Swanson, Mr. President, that this is rung high through the district, that students know, because students are scared of this, because it's not confirmed, because counselors are saying, no, you can't do that. So I don't know if this is only new or it's been offered, but however, we do just want to make sure that students are aware. I think this will look good for the community as well as the high school, as well as dealing with the high number of students in the schools. It can bring it down a little bit. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, hearing no other public comments, we'll bring it back to the board. Any comments and/or I'll entertain a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Board Member Lofthouse,
I'll second.
second by Board Member Reed. Superintendent?
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Shurla.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All All right, thank you. Moving right along, we'll go to item F. Superintendent?
I believe this item was also pulled by a community member. This is our curricular offerings and textbook guide. It is quite robust. It's about 35 pages worth of textbooks that are utilized in our different courses all the way TK through 12.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board? We will take it out to the public, and it looks like we have Faith Smith.
Hello again. My name is Faith Smith. So we had this pulled specifically because I went through to go see what it said for jazz band and jazz choir, and it says no associated resources. Why don't we have a textbook for those classes? I mean, we brought, one of the past board meetings, we brought you all books, and it was mainly for the point to show you that every instrument can play jazz. But in this case, there's books out there that can be used as textbooks to help students learn to improvise, which can fix the problem of the plagiarism of hiring people to write the students' solos, like we've talked about before. Instead, bring in textbooks that will, or music books that will be utilized as textbooks to help improve the curriculum so that there is a set curriculum, and also to help students learn how to actually improvise, which will set them up better for college, rather than just telling them to go, find it out on your own, go pay for a private teacher, versus there might be students that don't have the money to pay for a private teacher. I mean, you're supposed to learn it at school, but we're not teaching anything. We're just handing them music and expecting them to play it and expecting them to know it through the audition, and then not actually teaching people. But if you bring in a textbook and music books to actually teach the students, I mean, that can resolve a lot of issues, and also that way students aren't cheating within the festivals that they're going to. I just said that. Yeah, we only go over the music. We don't learn anything about improvisation. So yeah, so if you bring in a textbook, I think that would be a good idea. Maybe if you can revise it or maybe add it later, I think that would be a good idea. Maybe just do some research. You can really just look up jazz books and you'll find tons of different stuff. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Faith. All right, and our next speaker, Earl Smith.
Good evening, Board, President Clark, Mr. Swanson, and the district. Mr. Reed, the last board meeting, you mentioned that one of the main things of the board is budget. But it's not just budget. The board is responsible for curriculum. That's on the CDE website. So all this drama that's been happening at Folsom High, and there's no curriculum? I've been asking this for a year now. Aidenhead's tired of hearing me say that. I asked, what is the curriculum? I've met with every board member except for YK, and I've asked that question. What is the curriculum? There is no curriculum. You know what they do? They just have them go over the 4 songs a year, every day, just play over and over again. Oh, maybe try this, maybe try that. To be able to improvise, you must understand an in-depth depth of music theory. Understand over a major chord, you can use the Lydian scale, which is a sharp 4. Now, I say that, I bet you most people in this room don't know what that means. But a jazz student should know what that means. I have heard them say use a Mixolydian scale over a 5 chord or a dominant chord. But students still don't quite understand what that means. And when we came, a lot of the jazz students started coming to me wanting to know how to improvise. And these are there's students that were favored, and those favored students are who they take that booster money and have someone write improv for them. And then go play that at a festival? Like I mentioned last board meeting, that's cheating. But there's no curriculum. There's no book. I talked to Dr. Huber, what's the curriculum? I talked to Mindy, what's the curriculum? No one can say, oh, we just leave it up to the teacher. I don't want to talk bad about Sac State, but their core music classes, they are not getting the proper foundation to even go out in the world. So I get students from other districts coming to me privately, and I'm hearing these languages. I'm like, what? Decrescendo? No, it's diminuendo. So there's got to be some form of material to assist the student in technique, theory, and jazz, specifically how to improvise. What are those guiding rules? This will also assist the teacher. One thing I love about teaching privately is as I'm teaching, I'm also still learning. So I would like the board to consider this because this does fall on your responsibility. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. All right, any other comments from the public? If not, we'll bring it back to the board. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Moved by Board Member Lofthouse,
I'll second.
second by Board Member Chalem-Chella. Superintendent?
Sir, Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you. Moving right along, and I believe that this was a agenda consent pulled by a community member. Item I.
Yeah, item I is, tonight we're approving the LCAP. Elena Cabrera, who is here, presented on this at our last meeting, and today it's on the consent to approve, but I believe it was pulled by a community member for public comment.
Right. Any question from the board? All right, we'll take it out to the public. We do have two speakers. Faith Smith.
Hi. As I was reading through like the agenda, seeing what was going to be talked about today, or what we could even pull to talk about, I saw I, which says approve local control and accountability plan, and then I read the rationale, which says the local control and accountability plan is a 3-year plan that describes the goals, actions, services, and expenditures aimed at supporting positive student outcomes aligned with state and local priorities. And then if you scroll down, it says underneath academic support and instruction, expand advanced learning programs for high achieving students. But you guys took away the math at the middle school. So now there's no advanced learning program for high achieving students in middle school. And yet that's underneath the LCAP for you guys to follow. And I just wanted to bring that up because obviously that was really upsetting to a lot of people. I know it was kind of resolved, but I believe it's still not like being continued. It's being stopped. It was just resolved for this year. And I don't know if that can still be considered or not, but I think it should be to actually keep this math because it says right under here for LCAP, expand advanced learning programs for high achieving students that you're going to take it away instead. So you're actually doing the opposite of what it says right here. And I just wanted to bring that up to show that you guys are supposed to be providing these programs, but then you're going to just take it away when you were providing them, which doesn't make any sense. And it just seems like you're going backwards instead of forwards. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we do have one more comment from Earl Smith.
Good evening, Board, President Clark, Mr. Swanson. I'm not sure we understand this correctly. It's 135 pages. But yeah, I just would like to see, I do see the energy and the shift. I saw that new video. I don't know if you guys are going to show it tonight. I saw that new video, Mr. Clark, or President Clark. You were in there quite a bit, which looks great. I feel Mr. Swanson's presence changed, but just in Folsom High, so many students look to be under the radar so they can be high achieving. And I just want to put a focus there when we're dealing with the accountability plan, that these students are taken care of. I love the fact of the new reading that you're bringing in for underdeserved kids that are lacking in reading. That's great. However, there's two sides of that spectrum because you have other students that excel. Faith, when she came over from Sherman Oaks Elementary, the 4th and 5th grade, it was a bore for her. I mean, they were just way more advanced. But I started her at a Korean school at 2. So they were already doing high stuff. She was 3 and 4. But I just to put on the record, at Folsom High, my hopes is that, for instance, like we looked at the amount of classes offered at Rancho Cordova and Vista in comparison to Folsom High, that I would believe that would fall under this accountability, to where all the students in the district at the different levels still have the same opportunity to achieve or advance. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. Seeing any, no more comments, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask if there was any online. All right, we'll bring it back to the board. Any discussion, or I'll entertain a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Board Member Lofthouse,
I'll second.
second by Board Member Chalum-Chilla. Superintendent?
Yes, sir. Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Chalum-Churla.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right. And I do believe that we did have one that was pulled, item J. M, I'm sorry. And that was pulled by Board Member Chalum-Churla. Superintendent?
Yeah, this was pulled by Trustee Chalum-Churla. It's approved job descriptions and salary schedules.
All right, thank you. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going through some of these job descriptions, and one thing which I want to emphasize here, one of my priorities, finances, curriculum, and education, safety of our kids, especially those 15-20 minutes of the peak hour traffic. And I want to give a kudos to all our people involved, especially our yard duty supervisors and administrators for some of the schools. I visited in my last 5 months quite a few schools, not yet, there's still in total 36 schools to get there. I just want to call out Theodore Judah, assistant principal, Miss Africa. She is literally ingress and egress time out there with her crew, the administrators controlling. I just want to call out what I have seen. Other schools may be doing it already. I know I just missed our new principal's name for Vista Del Lago. 2 principals before, Lori Emmington was a principal, and Miss Moore and Miss Jonathan Johnson. I was doing 2 years a crossing guard. So what I mean to say here, there is a room for improvement. There is a room for improvement because the traffic is nightmare in quite a few schools. So at least for the new school year, that's why I'm speaking now, coming August, it is a group effort. Even though we have some statements here which are talking at the beginning of the school and end of the schools, they will be assisting. A traffic situation is there. Who is going to do and how it is going to be, Mr. Swanson, I'm not sure, I'm not expert on that one, but at least it has to be, discussed, extensively, especially for the school administrators taking the in charge and lead by example kind of, things. I really want to make sure we can improve the safety, especially during the drop-off and pick-up times. So I just want to put that out there. There is nothing I'm going to change it here, but I want to emphasize because it is a duty statement. for those. It can't be on the paper, it should be practiced heavily. So with that, I'm going to make a motion, Mr. President, unless anybody else has any comment.
I can take it out to the community if there's any comments. Seeing none, I'll go to see if there's any online. We'll bring it back to the board. I understand you are making a motion.
I'm making a motion
Thank
to
you, sir.
approve.
Moved by Board Member Charlanchella,
I'll second.
second by Board Member Lofthouse. Superintendent?
Sir, Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you. And moving right along, looking to see if we have anything else. No? All right, we will, no special presentations. We'll go straight into public comment. We will start off with Alexander Hampton.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Alexander Hampton. I am with North Cal Carpenters, Local 46 here in the Sacramento area. And I'm a 17-year member. I want to speak about apprenticeship and what has it done for me. I first came to this area in 1978. My dad was in the United States Air Force, a master sergeant. We lived right on Mather Air Force Base. My first elementary school was White Rock Elementary. So I got a lot of history here. And my dad stayed here for about 20 years in this area. I'm going to go to 1987. We moved to the South area, and I was going to Luther Burbank High School. I was working out, getting ready, trying to play football. Something happened. I passed out, went into a coma. I had a brain aneurysm. Was in a coma about 3 days. When I came out, had what you call foot drop, left side weakness. I couldn't walk. I couldn't speak. It was pretty bad. I can't remember anything back then. My memory was just lost forever on that. I was admitted to Methodist Hospital in Southside. All right, and I'm going to fast forward now to 2008 when I became an apprentice through Local 46 and here in Sacramento. You have two things when you become an apprentice that can help you seek employment. One is they have a list where contractors call and they request an apprentice, and the apprentice goes to the job and you start work. The other way, you have you can decide to go look for your own work, and that's what I did. The recession 2008, 2000, it was pretty bad, and so I went looking for my first job, and I landed my first job at the very same hospital that saved my life, Methodist Hospital. I say this to say, when you have contractors here, I get emotional on this because I went through a lot, but I was able to get back to my community. And I never thought it was going to be like that. But wow, every time I put those bags on and I'm right here, great feeling. Another short story, my mother had a stroke, and because I was working here, I was able to get there for her also. Thank you for your time, and you have a great evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. I appreciate it. And from one vet to another, please thank your father for his service. Appreciate that. And you went to Burbank. I won't hold that against you. I'm a Kennedy grad. So there's a little rivalry there.
Go Sac High, just, for the record.
All right, chime in, everybody. No, I'm just joking. Anyway, so we'll go on to our next public comment. It looks like we have Gracie Risher. I think I might have screwed that one up. Richer, okay.
Okay, my name is Gracie Risher. I'm a 2024 graduate of Cordova High School and a former soccer player. for the Cordova High women's soccer team. I'm also a sister, a daughter, a young woman, and a resident of Rancho Cordova. All of these identities I share with many of my peers in the audience who may be watching or may be here physically. I also share with many of my peers a great concern for the future of Folsom Cordova School District if Conrad Mayer is reinstated. I understand this was talked about last time, so not to bring it up again, but I have experienced many a situation with all of these varying identities of my aspect where predators like Conrad cause young athletes, students, and just young women in general to feel deeply uncomfortable and horribly self-conscious. Further than this, speaking from experience, it ruins careers and opportunities for these students and young children to thrive, not just young women, of course, by way of instilling fear. So I expect my community to uphold the decisions of the judicial system, which state clearly that Conrad should not be working at a school. It's not a matter of a personal attack or an attempt to take down a member of Cordova's community, because I can sympathize with those who have only known him as a community pillar and who might be shocked by these allegations. But I believe, however, that to deny these victims of his behavior their appropriate justice and to allow him a position at Cordova High School would promote an unsafe and frankly deeply corrupt environment. I expect the board and decision makers of this case to ensure that no matter the importance of the person at fault, that predatory behavior is rooted out and punished as what it is. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we will go with another public comment. Earl Smith.
Good evening, Board, President Clark, Mr. Swanson in the district. I thought about coming to the last board meeting, talking about Mr. Conrad. And I sat there and I watched, it was 47 comments or cards you had in your hand. And 47, I don't know, I can't remember how long that guy's. I don't know him. I don't know the Rancho Cordova, but a few people that came up here and spoke, I do know from Faith and I being Choctaw Native American, and we connected with some of the other Native Americans in the community. Regardless of whether accusations are true or not, there's still a stigma. And one thing that I heard from you guys' attorney mentioning was the fact that that money was given. I give money often in secret. I've given money to this district in secret. When there's a need, I've given money to teachers and I've given it through the district and say, don't you tell anyone that's coming from me. And I let it from the teacher to assist that student in need. It should never, first of all, anything be given of cash. I asked Faith about that. Some teacher just gave you $500. Her, what? That's weird. So whether things are true or not, I want you to consider this, that 47 people, 47 comments in reference to how many kids are in a class. It's not a lot. One teacher affects a lot of kids within the district. And if you don't steal a certain line of what is acceptable and unacceptable, you okay bad behaviors within generations. I'm still looking at, there's 5 reports from 5 students. But in Faith's matter, we have 24. And a ruling from the CDE, actions were done out of retaliation, discrimination. Your policy says that this district will not tolerate any retaliation. The law book I showed you guys before, it talks about it is the district. We are raising children in a community. Things should not be overlooked, and when they are, or when a principal blows things over, that sends a message to other students that they can do things and get away with it. That's not okay. So I understand the predicament that you guys may have been, if you guys have decided or not, or whether you're looking at cases or not. But I say look at the future of children. Whether things are true or not, there was still enough, and this young lady that got up and speak, I've watched so many kids be afraid to do that. That says a lot in itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Excuse me. Faith Smith, we're still in public comment.
Hi, my name is Faith Smith. As a student, I would like to speak on the same issue, and you inspired me to do so because me and my dad were talking about this situation at home. My dad watched that board meeting or the hearing that happened and was telling me about it, as he just said. And what it reminded me of is actually my situation as well. Not the same exact way, but in how people were responding to hearing what a teacher was doing. My dad said that people were trying to back up this teacher. We're trying to say, oh, well, he was doing this for my kid. But then if you hear that a teacher is doing something wrong, your initial response is going to be, what? A teacher did that? Not, a teacher would never do that. Why would someone's response be, they would never do that? People who are students, not friends. That's weird. And I want to talk about that. I mean, it's weird, is it not? I mean, would you consider your teacher your friend? I mean, do you remember all your 6th grade teachers, all your high school teachers, all of them? Probably not. Are you in contact with all of them? Probably not. Are they your friends? No, they're your teacher. And to have parents who had students with the teacher talk about defending this teacher as if they're a friend, that's weird. And it reminded me of my situation where all these people were willing to defend this teacher that they're not friends with. And so what makes students and parents see that teacher as a friend? Isn't that concerning to you? I think it is. Because you don't initially react with, oh, they would never do that. No, you initially react with, what, they did that? But yeah, just think about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Faith. We're still in public comment. Looks like Nicole Heine.
Good evening, Board, President Clark, and Superintendent Swanson. I came here tonight hoping we would hear the presentation we had been promised about the middle school math pathways elimination, but instead, it's not on the agenda. It seems like it's been shunted to the future agenda items where it should be scheduled, but it's not even scheduled. It has a date of TBD on it. The role, I don't think I need to lecture you of the school board, but is to ensure school districts are responsive to the values, beliefs, and priorities of their communities. In the board policy 6141, the superintendent is to establish a process for curriculum development, selection, and adaptation, which utilizes the professional expertise of teachers and principals, both of which we know were completely not involved in this math discussion. When presenting a recommendation curriculum for adoption, the superintendent or designee shall provide research data or other evidence demonstrating the proven effectiveness of the proposed curriculum. Studies were alluded to, but never cited in the presentation we were given a couple months back. They should be available for review. If there is compelling evidence, it shouldn't need to be hidden. I spoke about last time I spoke about how there were 4 key components to this, curriculum, but we were only going to implement one of them. There still is not curriculum written for integrated math, but we're going to go off and adopt this new curriculum. We're not adding any staff training, any coaches, which were the only pieces that helped make this a success when it was tried. Leaving this issue unaddressed allows poorly decreed policy that did not follow board policy in its establishment to be implemented by inaction. For all of the students in our district, I ask you to bring this to the next agenda, to act on this, to find resolution for all the students that deserve to be able to take these advanced math classes. Thank you.
Right, thank you. And it looks like that's it on public comment. Any online? All right, thank you, ma'am. We'll move on. Item 10, report of district organizations. We'll start off, actually, no student advisory board, not yet, but they will be sworn in at a later date. California School Employees Association.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent Swanson. I have nothing to report tonight. Just be mindful if you're out visiting sites, there is a bunch of beautification projects and construction going on almost at all the sites. Thank you.
Thank you. FCEA. Thank you. FCLA. No report. Okay. DLAC. Okay, thank you. Board committee reports.
I have a report. This is actually, I'm going to read it. It's a joint statement on behalf of Board Member Larrett and myself, since we are the board members on the Facilities Committee. After our last school board meeting on June 5th, 2025, the Board Facilities Committee met on Monday, June 9th to discuss the prior meeting and next steps. Based on this meeting, the Facilities Committee decided the following. 1, the Facilities Committee will meet twice a month going forward to ensure the board representatives are fully informed on current and upcoming construction and facilities projects, to provide staff an opportunity to raise issues of concern with the board representatives, and to ensure that all parties are on the same page. 2, the Facilities Committee will develop and approve a new condensed scoring matrix when approving new contracts that will be shared with the board and the public on all future approvals. Until that scoring matrix is developed, staff will continue to use the current system, but will provide the board with a detailed explanation of the process. 3, the Facilities Committee will develop and approve a reference scorecard that will be used to contact the most recent school district with a similarly scoped project to get their feedback on the contractor's work. That reference scorecard will be a factor that will be awarded points on all future approvals. 4, the majority of evaluators of project proposals will be FCUSD employees, but outside contracted consultants may be allowed based on their expertise. But we would note that a majority of evaluators on the pre-construction services contract were in fact FCUSD employees. 5, going forward, a board representative will be invited to sit in on future interviews for construction services on major projects as an observer. The board representative will not sit at the table, will not interact during the interviews, and will not be part of the team scoring the RFPs. 6, all future contracts for major construction services shall be a discussion/action agenda item and will not be placed on the consent agenda. 7, item 7R from the June 5th, 2025 agenda will be brought back to the board no later than September of this year for board review and approval. The new scoring matrix will be provided based on the prior interviews, but shall also include a score from the new reference scorecard. The prior work, including interviews of the candidates, will not need to be redone. Staff will provide a detailed and transparent presentation of the high school, middle school RFP process, including A, scoring by category, B, key procedural details, C, considerations around ensuring use of skilled labor, and D, the subcontractor bidding process to ensure competitive pricing and appropriate labor practices. And finally, 8, the facilities board members will be prepared to give a report to the board during reports of district organizations during each board meeting. That's the statement.
All right, thank you, sir. No other reports from district organizations, correct? All right, that was quick. I'm sorry, I had to. I'm okay. Right, got it. All right, so with that, we'll be closing out our open session and heading into public hearing. All right. Public hearing, special education local plan area, SELPA local plan, section A, contracts and certifications, annual budget plan, annual service plan attachments, 1 through 7, 25, 26. Superintendent?
Yeah, this is the hearing. There will be an item after this. The purpose of this annual requirement is to document the planned expenditures of money received for a specific categorical requirement by providing the service defined in CalPADS. Director Aaron Story is here to answer any questions, whether in the hearing or in the item.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions from the board on this? Hearing none, we'll move it out to the public. It does look like we do have one. Jeanette Sassenbach.
Thank you. I actually brought this to the attention of Eric Swanson and Betty Jo Wessinger on Monday. But things have happened and nobody got back to me. So there is a problem with the report. If you looked at page 6, page 51 documents on A12, it goes ahead and says, in this table, report the participation of key stakeholders required to participate in regular meetings by the ESE section. And it includes administrators, general education teachers, special education teachers, members of CACA, parents selected by CAs, and other persons concerned with individuals with special needs. On this committee, there is no general education teachers. So I would request that this goes back and that there is a general education teacher that is appointed to this committee. And obviously there's going to have to be other changes as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hearing or looking and seeing that there's no other public comment, we'll bring it back to the board. Any questions before we close out a public hearing?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I'm just looking, I'm trying to get to page 6, you said?
Yes, page 6. If you go ahead and you look at A12 at the bottom, and then also on page 7, you look at all of the people who are the representations. There's a special education teacher listed, Dana Ark, who is a SELPA within our district. Also, I believe she's a DOSA. But all of the other ones, there is this, are not. There's somebody from FCUSD Business Services.
Superintendent, do you have any thoughts on that?
The only thought, yes, Jeanette is absolutely correct. I believe that, and Aaron could probably speak to this, I believe that there is some timeline requirements, and so I would suggest for the board, if the board was willing, to approve with the amendment or the condition that the requirements are met, and we'll bring that back to the board. Aaron, is that fair to say that the timelines are critical in this moment?
Yes, I think that's fair to say. The timelines for delivering this document or this plan for certification to the state is June 30th. So there's not another board meeting in between now and then. So yeah, the timeline is a problem, and to my understanding, approving it with that exception, we could work with that.
And I can assure the board that we'll take care of it.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, we are still entertaining comments from the board in this public hearing. Are there any other comments? Thank you, ma'am. Okay, with that being said, we'll go ahead and close out of this public hearing and go back to open session. And we'll go to item 12, discussion action item, approve special education local plan area, SELPA, section A, contact certification, section D, annual budget plan, section E, annual service plan, attachments 1 through 7, 25, 26, superintendent.
Yeah, now, this is the discussion action item. Aaron, I'll welcome you to the podium if the board has any questions. This is the discussion action item of the hearing that we just closed out of regarding approving the SELPA. Aaron, do you want to share a few words about it? Feel free.
Sure, I could just share a little of the basics about the SELPA local plan. So just kind of for refreshers, SELPA is Special Education Local Plan Area. This is specifically dealing with the local plan, which is a governance plan required by the state, and that is we turn in sections A, D, and E according to this timeline. The development of that happens over the spring as they approach the May CAC meeting, and input to those documents are created. There are the 3 sections that are reported on include contacts and certifications, annual budget plan, and annual service plan. So they have some kind of different elements of the way that income is received in this HELPA and the way that those expenditures are spent as well. Are there specific questions that I could answer for anybody?
None from the board. We'll go ahead and take it out to the public if there are any questions. None online. Thank you, Mr. Story.
Thank you.
We'll bring it back to the board. This is a discussion action item. Any final comments?
Just before we get to the motion, I'm not opposed to what FCA is requesting, but I wanted to poll my colleagues on that. Are you guys comfortable with that as well?
I'm not opposed to it either, and I think with consensus we can.
Yep, I'm fine with that change.
All right, so then I would move we approve the SELPA local plan, provided that the representative referenced by FCA be added in a revised plan brought back to the board at a future date.
All right.
Could I just clarify too that the CAC is a Brown Act governed body, and so participation in the CAC approval process does not require membership. That is an open meeting that's available to all members of the community. So making someone a member, or that's not the nomination process for how it's done in CAC, for us to assign somebody.
That being said, I would like to see a general ed teacher on there, so whether it's required or not.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Any other comments or thoughts from the board?
Do we have to bring this back, or with this addendum, we can go ahead and approve it? You can incorporate that special ed teacher in this. That way it doesn't have to come back. Okay.
Right.
All right, well, if that's the case, I can revise my motion.
Yes, if you can, please.
Okay. I move that we approve the SELPA local plan, provided that the representative reference in FCA be added, period.
Right, thank you, sir.
A second on that.
Moved by Board Member Reed, second by Board Member Charlem-Chella. Superintendent?
Yes, sir. Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll go ahead and move on to item B, approve the interorganizational loan agreement between Folsom Cordova Unified School District and Folsom Cordova Community Charter. Superintendent?
Yeah, we have our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, Sean Martin, at the podium to talk us through this.
Yes, good evening. At the last board meeting, we did review the budget. One of the items we discussed was that to ensure that the way we treat our internal charter school, Folsom Cordova Community Charter, that we keep the same methodology that we do with our charter school, new Pacific School charter. We want to make sure that we keep the same structures in place for all processes. So something that has historically not come to the board is the fact that we have had transfers between ourselves and FCCC in the past. But now we are actually establishing a clear protocol and an MOU document for when those transfers occur. So in this case, we are more or less from the general fund financing or lending funds to FCCC for the intent of ensuring that they will meet their financial obligations for 2025, 2026. Now, we're hoping that their enrollment and attendance numbers will continue to grow. There's other ways that we will be looking at cost reductions as well. And so hopefully a majority of that loan hopefully will not be needed, but that is the amount that's been identified based off the adopted budget. I will share in the past what has often occurred is the district charges for direct services to the charter school. So when we provide service, utilities say, or anything else, we bill them for that. What we've done in the past is rather than bill them for the full cost if they couldn't afford it, we would just not bill them the full amount. So now we are actually more or less looking at them as an independent entity for the purposes of this analysis. So that's why it's a different measure than we've done in the past. So, any questions that I can answer?
No, I don't have any. Does the board have any questions?
I have one comment. I know, Mr. Martin, I think last time we talked about it. Yes, that FCC administration is going to be putting their best analysis, how to increase the enrollment, best efforts. So at least personally, I want to, see what efforts is being made towards that best effort. So sure. I know through superintendent, we can hear that way. We feel they have done their due diligence to increase the enrollments.
So Mercedes Kirk, the principal there, she has drafted a working document of steps that they are taking as an entity to increase enrollment, but also costs and other activities. There is also a marketing campaign as part of that to hopefully increase enrollment. What we can do is Superintendent Swanson can share that with you as a board. If you want a presentation, obviously that would then take action on the majority of the board members to bring forward. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's actually been a while since we've had a presentation on Folsom Community Charter. I would like to see one in the near future. Maybe that's something that we could put on future agenda items.
Okay, when the item comes up, we'll have that.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll take it out to the public. Any comments? Any online? Back to the board. Final comments? No? And/or motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Board Member Lofthouse.
And second?
Second by Board Member Charlem-Churla. Superintendent?
Yes, sir. Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Charlem-Churla.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item C, approve elementary health curricular adoption.
Yeah, we'll welcome Carrie Kay and her teammates to the podium to do a presentation about our proposed elementary health curriculum adoption. Hi.
Hi. I'm actually not presenting. I'm
Yeah,
just
well,
here
I
for moral
saw you walk up.
support and cheering them on. Yes.
Right, Amanda.
Hi, good evening. Members of the school board and Superintendent Swanson. My name is Amanda Turks, and I'm the coordinator of health and wellness. Here with me tonight is Kelly Samuelson. She's the lead teacher for science. We are here to present our committee's elementary health curriculum recommendation and to share the progress our committee has made with the development of the elementary health course. Before we begin, I'd like to express a few thank yous to our district leaders, Carrie Kay, Director of Health and Wellness, Angie Carlamegno, Andrade, Director of Education Services, Pam Owen, Director of Education Technology, and Angela Griffin, Director of Communication. Thank you all so much for your support and guidance throughout this process. So why are we changing the curriculum? Folsom Cordova has had a long history of educating students in health. In 5th grade, the growth and development curriculum, called Always Changing, Always Growing, is usually delivered as one lesson right before winter break. Our committee reviewed the curriculum and found this curriculum does not include all of the required elements of the California Healthy Youth Act. It's delivered too late, and it's missing essential health topics such as nutrition, safety, and healthy relationships. As an improvement, we are recommending a California Healthy Youth Act compliant curriculum that includes teacher training, supports for English learner students and students with special education, ensuring that all students gain the knowledge and skills to make healthy, safe choices. I will now turn it over to Kelly Samuelson to share the committee's curriculum recommendations for 5th grade starting in the 2025-2026 school year.
All right, so our committee came together and the group of teachers who worked on this are recommending 2 curriculums. So the Great Body Shop, and this is for 5th grade health, as well as Project Protect. So the Great Body Shop is comprised of 10 chapters. However, the committee looked at the chapters for alignment to Ed Code and our goals as a district in health education, and we are recommending specific lessons from the Great Body Shop for implementation during our first year. So to address the requirements of the California Healthy Youth Act, we're looking at Chapter 6 of the Great Body Shop, which is Growing Up. And then we also plan to supplement this with Project Protect's Safe People, Safe Places, Safe Choices. This is a prelude to the human trafficking curriculum that we teach in our secondary health classes, and it teaches age-appropriate protective skills for our students, including healthy boundaries, safe choices, and finding trusted adults. Both of these pieces are part of the parent choice, which means that our families will get notifications when that section of the health lessons are coming up, and they can opt out of Chapter 6 and Project Protect. Additionally, and we also have materials that go home with students after each lesson. So there's a lot of family involvement with these. Additionally, the committee is also recommending lessons from the additional chapters shown up on the screen that align to 5th grade essential standards for health. And we have outlined lessons that teachers can use for learning extension if they choose to. All right.
Thank you to Angela Griffin's team for sending messaging through Parent Square to all FCUSD staff and families, inviting them to participate in the elementary health curriculum review. And thank you to Pam Owen, site techs, and the front office staff for supporting access and helping families preview the materials. We appreciate our parents and guardians for reviewing the 3 core options and Project Protect, the supplemental curriculum. Just a note, if any family would like more time to review these curriculums, printed materials are available here at the ESC during business hours. Many families in both Folsom and Rancho Cordova previewed the core curriculums, the Wonder Years, Rights, Respect, and Responsibility, the Great Body Shop, and Project Protect. And I have some feedback from parents from these schools, and I'll summarize the findings. First, with Project Protect, one parent and teacher raved about it, that it is a supplemental curriculum that she's used in her classroom for years, and she's comfortable with it being taught. A note about Project Protect, it is designed specifically to be developmentally appropriate for upper elementary students, including 5th grade. The curriculum does not go into graphic detail about human trafficking or sexual violence. Rather, its emphasis is on helping students understand personal space and body autonomy, the concept of consent in an age-appropriate way, recognizing safe versus unsafe interactions, and how to seek help from trusted adults. These are essential skills that empower children to protect themselves, identify unsafe situations, and know how to respond. The curriculum uses sensitive and non-alarming language and avoids imagery or content that could be considered frightening or overwhelming for students at this age. Moving forward, given the region's high rates of human trafficking, it's vital to equip our students with tools for awareness and safety in a manner that's appropriate for their developmental level. And we understand that individual comfort levels may vary, and we will continue to ensure that teachers are supported and trained to deliver this content thoughtfully. Parents are provided with clear information and review opportunities. Parents may opt out their child if they choose. And students, we're remaining their emotional safety as our highest priority. Regarding the Great Body Shop, it was widely supported by parents and teachers. Themes that came out from the feedback forum was that it's age appropriateness, there's visually engaging home connections, I'm holding a few of them, and teachers were saying they'd be comfortable in delivering this. We're grateful for our community's engagement to consider the voices as we finalize our health education findings. Earlier in our presentation, we mentioned that the growth and development curriculum is delivered during one lesson in the 5th grade. Our committee would like to expand that. For the next year, our committee, which consists of members from the School Health Advisory Council, parents and guardians and community partners, lead teachers in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, will meet to review the health education content areas that are here on the screen to recommend when these topics can be delivered for students. While the focus for the 2025-2026 school year will be 5th grade, in subsequent years, there will be health topics in the lower grades feathered throughout the school year. Our committee will ensure that there are resources for teachers, such as essential standards, pacing guides, professional development toolkits, and we will ensure that there are supports for English learners and special education students. Our timeline is shown here on the screen, that our committee continues to meet throughout the summer, and for next school year, we do have a plan to train all 5th grade teachers, including support staff, right when we get back to school. And then we do have planned release days to continue the development of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade curriculum expansion to the other health topics. Just in closing, our success outcomes are here. As we consider how to best support student well-being and achievement, it's important to recognize the value of small, frequent health lessons delivered throughout a child's educational journey. Breaking health topics into small, age-appropriate lessons over time helps students better understand and retain critical information. Revisiting core concepts such as nutrition, personal safety, emotional regulation, strengthens long-term learning and allows students to apply this knowledge in real-time situations. We're hoping the development of health literacy through consistent instruction builds a strong foundation, helping students understand and navigate health-related decisions with confidence. Over time, students will develop the vocabulary, awareness, and critical thinking skills needed to make informed choices about their own well-being. And we're hoping that students gain compassion and understanding for health changes their peers may be experiencing, fostering a more inclusive and supportive school environment. In summary, regular developmentally aligned health education is an essential component of supporting the whole child. And by investing in ongoing health instruction, we aim to empower students with the tools they need to thrive, both inside and outside the classroom. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board?
Mr. President,
Yes.
a general thing for my information, the committee, if you can describe one more time who consists of that committee. I see the KDK. Amanda, is this the committee you displayed on the first page?
On the first page, those are the district leaders who we have partnerships across our department, but we have the school health advisory members, which include parents, community partners. We have lead teachers in every department. We also have teachers that are representing 5th, 4th, and 3rd grade. Part of the committee, site principals, we have the support of.
It's pretty big.
It's pretty large.
As you're already explaining to me, not these 5 great members on the first page. So that's good, thank you. And, I always have this, thank you for that. The more inputs from diversified people, from the administrators, the teachers, it helps. The second one is about the community engagement. And when you hosted that event, how big is the attendance from the community? I know.
From the School Health Advisory Council, you've been part of one of our meetings, so you can see that the participation can vary from meeting to meeting. Are you asking specifically for this curriculum review?
Yes. I see that Alder Creek, 58% on page 4, I believe, slide 4. You have some numbers up there. What's the number, not the percentage?
I'll get that and I'll report it back to you. I don't have it handy.
The total number.
Yeah, total number of,
Survey responses.
parents or the
Oh,
responses.
are you talking about the parent responses?
Yes,
Oh, apologies, I didn't bring the number of responses with me, but we did have a pretty considerable number of parents.
that's all I want to hear. It's, again, in all fairness, people overlook the information and they always say, oh, we didn't know about it. That's what we hear when we go out in the community. So we want to make sure, we are over communicating than under communicating, because this is a sensitive topic.
It is.
It is a sensitive topic. I really want to say that word.
And I was going to add, the communication about the review went out to all of our parents, TK through 12, via Parent Square. It was open at every elementary school, and at public request, we also put the materials at our middle schools for people to review. So
Yes,
pretty
thank
widely
you.
available.
And also one of the point you made it, before you start teaching that lesson, you are communicating to that classroom parents, whosoever it is, so to take their, inputs and discretionary, whether it is allowed, okay for their kids to teach. We are following the state standards, but still we are very considerate about the parents' feelings. Thank you. Mr. President, that's all.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other questions from the board?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Reed?
Actually, it's a request of the superintendent, but no one's going to be able to answer this question tonight. But I'm just curious, Parent Square, it's the first full year that we've implemented Parent Square, and I'm kind of curious what the open rate is on transmittal. I think IT has the ability to identify the open rate. If that's something that could be emailed the board in the future, then appreciate it.
Got it.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, appreciate it. And with that, we'll move it out to the public. I don't think we do. Earl Smith?
Thank you, teammates. Really great job.
Yes, thank you.
Is this for me? The President Clark, the board, Mr. Swanson. Really like the presentation. And I will be checking back at Theater Judah with the principal there to see if Faith can volunteer, if there's, she has that open period, so she can get some of that material. One thing, I know there's quite a few new people, new faces in the room, which is nice. When Faith went to Sutter, there was a presentation by the Folsom PD about trafficking and about predators in the area. So one thing I didn't hear, which I think, to consider, maybe reaching out to that, because they have a special department. And so when you're in the 5th grade, speaking about which I heard very clearly, what's appropriate and not scary. But at 5th grade, then going on to 6th grade, I think it's also could be a good idea that there is at least some form of talk within the Folsom PD in that special area, because they're dealing with the online. And some of these kids have phones. When they go home, they got phones, and predators are reaching out to these kids. But if that can be implemented early on, some ideas of how our community police are there to help, as well as to the parents, because through the health of the 5th grade and even at the elementary, that's a strong partnership with the parents. And sometimes you don't know. I didn't know. I'm making videos and I'm posting on Facebook and this and that and leaving a tag where people can come snatch my daughter up. So just something to consider. It already looks like a lot of information, and I thought that was a great presentation. But yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. And just for clarification, Superintendent, we do have our police on doing workshops or forums on that, correct?
Yes, Gary Kay. Thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that
You, Kelly, too. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
ASL.
I just wanted to make sure that that we were still doing that. I remember years past that we had that. in Cordova as well as in Folsom. So I just want to make sure that that trend was continuing to happen. So thank you for your presentation. Bringing it back to the board, any final comments? With that, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Moved by Board Member Lofthouse.
A second?
Second by Board Member Chalum-Chella. Superintendent.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalum-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item D, which is approved certificated assignment under a variable term waiver. Superintendent.
Yes, sir. Here in the rationale, the waiver is a document issued by the CCTC when a fully credentialed certificated employee is not available for the assignment. This document allows the waiver holder additional time to complete the credential requirements, and you see the employee listed below.
Yeah, those are pretty routine.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, any comments from the board, questions? We'll take it out to the public. I don't believe there's any. None online. Let's bring it back to the board. I'll entertain any final comments and or a motion.
I'll move.
Moved by Board Member Lofthouse.
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Chalum-Chella. Superintendent.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalum-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you. Moving on, item E, approve revised July 2025, June 2026 calendar for regular and special board meetings. Superintendent.
Yes, sir. Based on our special board meeting that was hosted on June 10th, the board tabled an item for more time to investigate, to come back to a regularly scheduled board meeting that you wanted to bring back in July. I am recommending that this group agree to regularly scheduling a meeting on Thursday, July 10th to complete that process.
Yes, sir. Any comments or concerns from the board? All right, hearing none from the public, none online. We'll bring it back to the board. I'll entertain any comments and or a motion.
I'll move.
Moved by Board Member Lofthouse.
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Chalum-Chella. Superintendent.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalum-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item F, consideration and possible approval of superintendent employment agreement.
That one
This was tabled.
Yeah, it was
That is
tabled.
tabled. Okay, that's right. Thank you. Moving on, item 13, discussion. We're looking at A, California Dashboard Local Indicator, Self-Reflection. Superintendent.
Yes, I'd love to invite Elena Cabrera to the podium to present on our dashboard local indicator self-reflection. As this board knows, Ms. Cabrera works with our LCAP. If you've ever done the amazing data walk, all that she's sharing at that is the dashboard. So this is the California State Dashboard that measures our progress as a system that you can aggregate down to individual schools. So she's here to do a presentation on that.
Thank you so much for that. And good evening, members of the board, President Clark, and my esteemed colleagues. This is an annual review, and it has recently been aligned since last year to match up with the approval of the LCAP. There are state priorities that are included in the LCAP that we must respond to. Some of them are related to data like CASP, and you're going to see that in this report. So ahead of time, I want to let you, some of this I'll just go through. It may be just repeat information, but some of it I'll stop and go into a little more detail, okay? So just to begin with, the elements that inform the LCAP, as you saw me here earlier, today in front of us, we've approved the LCAP, and it's year 2 of a 3-year plan. So the process is there's an annual update. We engage the partners, which we refer to as the data walks, but we engage them throughout the year. Our partners are students, parents, our colleagues, teachers, administrators, and the community at large. Today, I'm going to be focusing on that state and local data that's reported on the dashboard. We all know the dashboard generally comes out around December, around that time, and it gives our test scores, like how the kids are doing, what we're looking like in math, what our suspension rate or attendance rate, but it also includes what our local measures are, and that's what I'm going to speak about, okay? There's some more information here. I'll let you read that. It just separates what's a state indicator versus a local indicator. Again, just to repeat, I'm going to focus on indicators 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7, which are those state priorities that are local, okay? This is another way to look at it, just for those of us that need it. It breaks it down to what every indicator may represent. For instance, number one priority is basic services, an example of a local indicator there. An example of a state indicator would be state priority number 4, pupil achievement, and that's indicated on that column. That's just another way to represent. Some of these words like indicators and all the different numbers may be confusing to some of us. This is one way of seeing the distinction. Okay, this is another way for those who are more visual. This is not my preferred way of seeing things. I'm more linear, but I know that we want to communicate with all of our members of our community, so this is one way of seeing it. Oftentimes on the dashboard where you see that, I guess, gas gauge, you're going to see colors like blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. On the local indicators, they're not measured in colors. They are locally assessed, okay? So with that, I want to kind of go into a little timeline here. We begin that process of gathering and analyzing our data and our information as early as January. And as you know, we get right onto that data walk campaign and really getting that voice of our partners. And that goes generally through the month of April, because at that time we are summarizing the feedback from our educational partners. And then we also start to put that into the plan and responding to what we're seeing, okay? So today I stand before you, and at this public meeting is when the LCAP is approved along with these indicators. And then later on in August and September, we will then be looking and anticipating the other parts of the dashboard, which are state reported, okay? That's a kind of cyclical PDSA cycle, which is the plan, do, study, act, or adjust, and that's that process, so it is cyclical, okay? So here we are with priority 1, basic services, a local indicator, and it really asks us about how is our credentialing for teachers. At this point, I can report to you that the data has not yet been made available by CDE. That information comes from CDE. As soon as it is available, we will update this information. One of the measures that you'll know and often referred to as Williamson is that do our students have standards aligned material? And what they really want to hear is, are there any indicators where they're required to have a textbook? Are there any indicators where there were none? And there were 0 found, which is good. That means we've met that. And the other thing is, the other item here is the facilities in good repair. And were there any areas where there were not? And the answer was 0, okay? So kudos to our facilities team and our curriculum instruction, so ensuring that our students have the material, and also to ensuring that when we hire staff that we have the credentials, and we'll see those numbers. Generally, our numbers look really good. This is some considerations on feedback. I'm not going to read them all, but they are there for your information. If you have any questions, I'm happy to reflect back on those, okay? Next item is priority 2, and on here, there's a measure of where we are in different areas of our curriculum, whether it's not only the materials, like you could see ELA, and the numbers that you see next to them is a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, okay? And so it's a self-assessment on where we are with professional development. And language arts, our team gives themselves a 5. And ELD, we give ourselves a 4. It's a good score, but we know there's room to grow. And you can see that also in math, science, and in history, you could see there was a score of 5. And that goes across the way into other areas, like in professional development, that's the one I just discussed. But the next column is materials, the standards aligned. Where do we see ourselves in reflecting on how aligned we are with our materials? And you can see the categories there. Those are all good scores. Over the years, you've seen scores in the area of 3, and we've seen some improvement. There's been a lot of great energy put into professional development support in curriculum and in first instruction. And you can hear about it through professional learning communities. You can hear about it with high reliability schools and all of those NASAL trainings that our teachers are going through. There's constant and very intentional focus on professional development and improving our first instruction. So you can see also the policy, making sure that we're supporting our policy and programs, the implementation of standards, and last you'll see the engagement of leadership as it relates to the professional learning needs of the whole staff, the professional learning needs of individual teachers, as we know that there's varying degrees, and last but not least, the support for teachers on standards not yet met, where we are in our support. And I would attribute a lot of that work with not only our coaching, but also our TOSAs who have been recently hired to support the needs of our new teachers or those who may need additional support, okay? Here's the considerations. Again, I will leave those here for you to reflect on them, and you are welcome to ask questions as I can conclude this So the next priority is 3, and that has to do with parent involvement and family engagement, okay? And this is a broad sweep of all the many decisions that we need to look to our parents and our community members so that we are encouraging their voice in the programs that serve their students. So again, here it is a scale of 1 to 5, and you can see about building relationships. And I know that in light of our welcoming schools communities, there's generally a positive sense from our parent, families, and staff on the engagement. But this is strictly related to that parent involvement and family engagement. And you can see there's full implementation in building relationships between the staff and families. There's a building partnerships with student outcomes. Those partnerships tend to be when we're sharing information about their student progress, and that's also 4. And then seeking input for decision-making. I would make this a 5, but we want to be fair and know that there's always room for growth. And then, oops, I didn't mean to jump to that, but that's the areas. Next item is priority 6, and that's school climate. Generally, this is around the theme of California Healthy Kids Survey. And so the information is here, and we just had some information presented related to this, and that you'll see a number of percentages here. You might have seen it more broken down in our data walks with the information of how students feel safe. Do they have a caring adult? That sort of information, and that information is presented here as well, okay? That's climate priority 6. And priority 6 also has to respond to the meaning of the data, and you can see where there's the student connectedness information of whether the rate of students feeling close to people at school or feeling happy to be at school varied. We see some grows, and we see some areas where we have more room to grow. The next item would be perceived safety, and the analysis of that data is that all students in all grades, except non-traditional students, report that they feel safe at school most or all of the time, okay? And then the substance abuse area is that students who reported experiencing chronic sadness reported current vaping, marijuana, or tobacco use more than students who were not experiencing chronic sadness. So there could be some correlation there. And the last item is changes. And that's the present data at school site council meetings, or the school could shift to annual implementation. There's some discussion about shifting from annual implementation of the California Healthy Kids survey to every other year, so that we can match the students in 7th grade and then catch them up in 9th grade and then catch them up, because those are the grades where they are being surveyed, okay? So we have trend data on the students assessed or surveyed. All right. And priority 6, there's the considerations there. Again, if you have any questions on those, I'll let you peruse those. And our last item is course access, which is priority 7, and that's the measures are grades, schedules, the CTE, and you can see the areas CTE, AP, A through G, and enrollment and completion rates. There's some barriers. Sometimes staffing shortages affects our support, our student mobility and completion courses. Another item would be that some students, such as English learners or other students, need additional support to have success in those courses. And then sometimes there's prerequisites or courses that students need to be successful in before moving on to have success in that existing class or being able to retake a course. Addressing some barriers that are in place is having equitable grading. There has been incredible work done into looking at not just only equitable grading, but standards-based grading, and then looking at inclusive practices, providing frequent support and interventions, and increased counseling support. And last but not least, partnership with support that supports students with college and career readiness activities. So this is what we'll see on that priority. So with priority 1, we met. 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7, we have met, and it's a local indicator. And that concludes my presentation. Is there any questions or comments?
Darn it. Any questions from the board?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Number 6, I think page 14, Ms. Cabrera. On this one, substance use and, safe, I know we hear that more and more when we walk in the community.
Yes.
Right? And it is so sad sometimes we hear, my kid did not go to restroom in school.
Right.
It's very sad, right? That leads to some health issues if somebody is holding urine for 8 hours. I'm sorry for saying that.
Yeah.
Right? How are we doing the indicators on that kind of thing when we get the survey results back?
Again, there is a survey, and I'm so glad that I have Miss Amanda Turk here and both Miss Carrie Kay, who happen to oversee the California Healthy Kids Survey. This was a happy coincidence. And so I know that the questions are set up to ask questions, not set up, but they're designed to ask questions of students. And then in that summary of that data, you could see the correlation. So maybe if you guys want to respond to how they're asked the substance abuse question. I know that the bathroom thing has been somewhat addressed, where we have some more frequent checks, and we're seeing some positive outcomes there. But how are we being asked the substance abuse question?
Hello again. The Cal School Survey is a one-timer per year, so it's a snapshot in time for students in 5th grade, 7th, 9th, and 11th. The questions on substance abuse in the 5th grade years are talking about lifetime substance use, versus there's more behavioral health questions when there's middle schoolers, frequency of use, type of substances. There's a task force that maybe you can talk about a little bit. And I know last board meeting, when Scott presented, he talked about those vape detectors. And so with those vape detectors, we know that there was a shift in. They were detecting a lot. We're not fixing the use of vaping at that point. We're relocating it on a campus. We acknowledge this. But we are hoping that more students feel safe in those restrooms. Because we're trying to address, I think, two things with those detectors. And so to your question, the Cal Schools Survey, CHKS in particular, the student survey, doesn't ask about safety in the context of substance use. It asks the student taking that survey, have you ever in the last 30 days? And so it's looking for lifetime and chronic, kind of, are we trying to establish a pattern of youth substance abuse? The safety questions are more geared toward safety on campus, the bigger picture of fighting, bullying, those kinds of things. But I certainly honor and respect the concept that you're talking about with the restrooms and a lot of concerns that we all have.
Right, thank you. I know last meeting you guys explained, even though it is what time they presented?
11:30 p.m.
11:30, 12 o'clock.
Quick question.
I've had more coffee tonight.
Quick question in terms of that. Is there like a margin of error that they kind of make known for the California Healthy Kids Survey?
So it's more, the more students you have participate, the more reliable and generalizable the data is. And so I'm thrilled. At the secondary level, we really do have good student participation. Yeah, definitely. So we can take the data and know that we have good usable data to act on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Carrie, I did have a question, and you talked about the data from the CDC not being available. When can we expect to capture that data?
From the California Healthy Kids Survey?
Yeah.
Generally, like I said, they're doing the surveys right now at this point every year, and we're trying to shift to every other year so we can match the students being surveyed. So that survey generally goes out in the fall, right?
So Cal Schools can be implemented within the school year, district discretion of when. We typically have implemented in the fall, which for a long, long time coincided with our peer districts in Sac County. So as a county, our aggregate data was at a similar time frame. So I can still say that a large part of our counterparts in the county still implement in the fall, and we have been kind of the holdouts, I think, doing it annually, and that's part of the reason that we're going to back to every other year again. That's what we had done for 2 decades before. So did that answer the question? Or were you looking about like?
No, that was the answer.
So West Ed is where you'll find the state level aggregate data. West Ed houses Cal Schools.
One thing, Carrie, that I think I caught was, when is it given and when do we get the results? So
we give it during October, November. The results we usually have by winter break. They're really pretty quick. It's since we don't use Scantrons anymore. It's beautiful.
Technology,
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the board?
Last one, Mr. President. I think 2 more slides back. Thank you, Mr. Kerike and Amanda, for, I think there is one, 10 or 11, I think World world languages implementation.
okay, perhaps you can.
9. Implementation standards on the last bottom, world languages. I know I sat with you on the parent summit, and it was so impressive to see the other languages tables were put there: Spanish, Slavic, and Persian, those languages. So do we have a pathway to implement any of the world languages as an optional for our students to take? What exactly that last number 4, world languages?
There is a pathway in our secondary, in our high schools, for sure, for a second language. And depending on the school, they vary. There's Spanish, I know there's German, there's French, there's a number of different world languages offered. Now, we don't have a giant, robust, as many high schools don't, but definitely as in addition to world language, it's also recognized through state seal of biliteracy, which it can be through courses, but it can be through their own learning. Some of us are bilingual and develop, and so students can get the pathway met in world language in multiple ways, but primarily through coursework. Yeah.
To the coursework.
Yeah.
If they learn on their own,
then there's a pathway through the seal of biliteracy where my department gives an exam in coordination with the county.
Got it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll in touch with you when we go out in the community.
Here's a fun fact with seal of biliteracy, we award over 22 languages. So there's a number of languages in our district represented in our students every year.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Cabrera.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Normally, in discussion items, we do not entertain public comment, but I am just so curious to hear from Mr. Smith, and looks like Faith has a public comment, so I will grant them the time to make their public comment, and then we'll move on.
Thank you so much for allowing us to do this. I actually wanted to talk about what you kind of brushed over, so you didn't really speak about it. On slide 8, it talks about priority 1, equity considerations. And I was reading through this and I wanted to talk a little bit about this, and then some of the other slides with equity considerations as well. But on slide 8 specifically, the first question says, does staffing represent student demographics? And my answer to this at Folsom High School, specifically since that's what I know, is no, it does not. In the office, before the renovations going on right now, there was a wall with all the teachers, with their pictures and their names. And you can see on the wall that there was no Black people. Until, I think last year, they implemented one Black guy, and that was for special education. There's no Black people at all. But there's Black students. So that does not represent student demographics. And there's also Asian teachers as well, but most of them are actually half, not full. So that is still not representing a lot of student demographics. And I think that needs to be looked into because, also looking at, congrats to all the teachers and principals and all that being hired. But the past board meetings, all I've seen that come up here are white teachers and white principals and white assistant principals. They're all white. And I don't think that represents student demographics at all. I think we need to be hiring more people of color, and I think that should be looked into. Another question on here says, do instructional materials represent student demographics, support cultural modalities? I think that's an issue around the whole state, maybe the whole world. But I do notice that from my experience at Folsom High School, when we talk about Black people, we only talk about the negatives. I think there should be some implementations of positive representations. I mean, we do talk about Martin Luther King Jr., but that's it. We don't talk about anybody else. Or my sophomore year, we talked about lynchings. That was what we talked about for Black people. And I think that's a bad representation. I mean, we're not just slavery. We don't just come from slavery and lynchings and all this bad stuff. There's so many good things. And I think that needs to be represented. So I didn't know that this can be modified within the district. I thought maybe that was a Department of Education thing. But if that can be modified curriculum-wise for English and history, to add in more positive representations of people of color rather than just the negatives like slavery. And then on On slide 10, priority 2, equity considerations once again. Let me see. Or was this the one I want to talk about? No, it wasn't actually. Let me see, hold on. Oh, actually slide 15, priority 6, equity considerations. It says, teach equality, cultural understanding, and critical thinking about bias while encouraging positive interactions among diverse students. I don't think that's like present. I think it's actually not necessarily positive interactions. And I think it's like a line that a lot of teachers are really scared to cross that actually creates a lot of tension in the classroom. I think that also needs to be considered. And then, I'm not sure if that was it. I think that was really it. It's the main thing that I wanted to talk about was the teachers not representing the student demographics. And I think that bothers me, and it also bothers a lot of other students. So I think that should be seriously considered within the district. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Faith. Mr. Smith.
Good evening, board. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak here. Can you tell me your name? Oh, no, behind you. I just want to say welcome. Because you're new, she's in place of Miss Emmington, right? No? Oh. Well, just hearing your responses is really refreshing. I've met with a lot of people in the district, and a lot of it's been very negative. And I can see just even how you're engaging with the questions and so forth with the board. It seems that you really come from an honest place and a caring place. And I think there's more that's needed in the district. And you're also very kind. I too want to second when you walk into Folsom High, I think more so what Faith is referring to is in Folsom High, the teachers are mostly white. And you see that right when you walk in, you see all their pictures. But if you look at the demographics of the students, it doesn't reflect the teachers. And this district got in trouble for that. And they were supposed to implement those changes. Maybe when you look at things as a wide area of the district, maybe you might start seeing that. But when you just hone into Folsom High, it is not a representation of the student demographic. This is also something I brought up when you look at the past 10 years of jazz choir or jazz band. It doesn't represent the demographic. This is also a thing why I'm so excited for YK that you are on the board, because there is a large Indian population in the Folsom High school, and there needs to be that voice. So I would love to see some Indian teachers at Folsom High that students can look to. When we look at this data, I don't even know how the district could even find true, honest data here when the survey is going to the students. Because as my daughter asked, do you even really honestly answer these questions, or you just rush through it? And you second that. Do the students so? And I don't want this to be, because I know I have spoken negative about district employees. This is not that to you guys, okay? I want to be very clear to that. However, when we hone in, I look at the responsibility of these things we're mentioning. It falls on Principal Cadenhead's shoulders. And so I just like the board and Mr. Swanson to consider that. Maybe get some other teachers in there. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helena.
All right. I believe that does conclude our discussion item. Actually, no. Item B, use of district herbicide. Superintendent?
Yes, sir. I welcome Matt Washburn to the podium. Back on March 6th, at a board meeting, the Board of Trustees requested that the staff gather information and report back. This is that report, and that's on the use of herbicides on Folsom Cordova Unified School District campuses. Matt?
Thank you and good evening. Yes, as Mr. Swanson mentioned, we're bringing this item as an information to the district on the use of herbicides within the school district campuses. First, I'm going to kind of go through the district, the process and the procedures that we go through in the district. First of all, I want to commend maintenance and operations for doing an excellent job on this. They comply with all requirements for the California Healthy Schools Act. All the products used by maintenance and operations are listed in the Integrated Pest Management Plan, which is also for public viewing, available for public viewing on the department's website. As far as notification requirements, maintenance and operations follows all the mandated notification requirements, at least posting 24 hours prior to any herbicide application. The signage needs to be remained up for 72 hours to be in compliance with state law. And the required notice of pesticide form is also available on the webpage as well. Safety and application requirements are notes. Maintenance and operation has a state licensed pesticide applicator on staff who also provides training to other maintenance team members as well. And while it's not required, the applications are scheduled only when students and community members and when youth activities and other activities aren't present. A lot of times on weekends, other activities, when there is not kids on school grounds or where they will not be present on school grounds. The herbicides usually dry within a few hours in warm, dry weather, but usually always in any condition after 24 hours. The products used, the district no longer uses a product called Ranger Pro, which is a generic for Roundup. We no longer use that product at all. That is the one that has been tied to glyphosate, which has been linked to possible cancer-causing agencies. So the district no longer uses that. All treatments are now used by Cheetah Pro and Alesco Pre-M Aqua product, CAP product, which is a non-glyphosate-containing herbicide. The Cheetah Pro is the herbicide used for broadleaf and grassy weeds. The Alesco product is used as a pre-emergence. This is used together. In order using this product together, the pre-emergent helps maintain the current frequency of spraying, and this also keeps our labor consistent with the use with the Ranger Pro, so we can spray consistently, thereby keeping labor costs consistent. Some of the cost comparisons, the Ranger Pro product is cheaper. That's why most districts had used it in the past. It's 50 cents a gallon. We have about 12,000 gallons a year we use, so it's about $6,000 cost. Going to the non-glyphosate product herbicides that we currently are using, it's about $3.50 a gallon for a cost of about $42,000 in annual costs. Maintenance and operations continue to evaluate other non-chemical options as well, but going from a non-glyphosate product to something that originally had contained that is a much more environmental friendly and is considered to be a much more sustainable product going in the future. With that, entertain any questions.
Right. Any questions from the board?
I know it was asked back in March and stated that the city had discontinued use of certain products that the district was still using, and that was going to be followed up and checked in on. Was that followed up on?
We did check in with city, and with our understanding of the people who spray for the city use Roundup or Roundup containing product. I did check with some local districts too. Some districts, I didn't check all of them, but I checked 4 or 5. A couple of them are still using the Ranger Pro, which is the generic Roundup, and others have gone to the Cheetah Pro product, and theirs are also exploring other products as well. So it's kind of a wide range. I think people are getting away from the glyphosate products, but it's slowly, it's obviously a cost issue, but people are looking at what other options, to try to be more cost effective. Some of the other products also require a higher frequency of spraying to be effective. So that's something to look into. Something that isn't as higher frequency, you can still try and keep the cost down.
Okay. Thank you. Any other
question, Mr. President? Thank you, Matt, for bringing this. Even when last time parents were here, it is either perception or reality, one way or another, kids were eating, spray was happening. Some type of, meaning came out from some. That's not true. The way you're explaining to us, and even as a, a human, right? We always take that into consideration. My point is, we always have every couple of months a nice break of 1 week or 2 weeks, for various reasons. Is it the maybe we can seriously take into, before the break, they can spray it after not 72 hours, I'm looking at, it's beyond. Sometimes the residual's still, up there. That's a human thinking as well. So can we take a deeper look into that when they can apply that, since we are already using the state standards?
Yeah, we can always look at the schedules to try to be more efficient on that. Most of the time during breaks, our school sites are also being used for the activities too. So we have to time it not only when there are breaks, but when activities aren't happening. Because a lot of time when there's breaks, sports activities and other events are happening on fields. So it's in combination of when there is an activity is not necessarily associated with a break. So we have to take all that in consideration and make sure we communicate with them on when things are being used in those situations.
Absolutely. I'm more thinking the classroom areas nearby, the green, that's where I'm more seeing, into application. That's one.
So a lot of weekends or some periods of time when there's not going to be students present for a period of time.
Right. And also, I think I made this comment before also. I was even talking to Mr. Swanson, how to get to the more community. Do we communicate the administrator, principal, to the entire school parents? There is something happening proactively, at least a week ahead. Is there any communication from the administrators to all parents? Because this is a concerned thing.
Yeah. I don't know what the administrators do as far as notification, because there's all the notification requirements that we do as far as posting and letting the school site know 72 hours is done. Reaching out to everybody else and letting them know. I mean, it's posted also. You can see the postings on the school site as well. So people entering it would know as well. As far as doing it we have to talk to the administrators if there's an outreach for that. But I think it's a notification. By doing that, I think we're saying how we're being safe and letting people know about it. We could always talk about taking an extra step on that.
That's all I'm saying, right? One, the schedule, and other one is notifying them through electronic or their Friday folders, whatever it is, right? So that helps everybody, that eases the concern that we are over notifying them and we care about their kids. They're our kids. Yes. That's all I want to make those points. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I think that would be a great idea. I think that the way it is posted is usually typically a paper sign, which can get pulled off or fall off or lots of things. So I think that having that communication go out would be helpful. As somebody who spends every weekend in the fall on multiple soccer fields at our schools, I am curious about how you avoid spraying fields throughout the fall when every single field, at least in Folsom and Rancho Cordova, because we play in both, are filled with kids all day, every day. So I do still have concerns about the timelines in terms of having it happen before weekends, because whether or not they are our students at that time, they are our students that are playing on these fields throughout the weekends. So I think that we definitely need to be mindful of school breaks when maybe that Monday through Thursday kind of thing when kids are not going to be on the fields, and just being a lot more proactive in terms of communication.
Absolutely. We can work on schedules and make sure that we're tightening those up.
All right, thank you, Matt. Any other questions, comments from the board? All right, that is a discussion item. I appreciate you, Matt. Thank you for that. Item 14, informational items. I will implore the board to just go ahead and read through those. Any questions, please let the superintendent know. With that being said, we'll move on to item 15, superintendent's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just going to spend a little time, first and foremost, starting off by thanking all the staff of the district as we come to the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. So thank you, and I'll look to the representatives. Thank you to all the certificated, classified, and administrative staff for all of their hard work and sacrifice in support of our students and our families and their colleagues throughout the year. I'm going to talk about some things that were accomplished this year. But I will say that none of what I'm sharing happens without the folks on the front lines, folks behind the scenes, doing all the hard work to make sure that our students all have an opportunity to chase their dreams. So this is, throughout the year, we definitely focus on specifically on our students and their academic, artistic, athletic, and community awards and all that. So some of this is more superintendent-y, but hopefully you'll be able to see the impacts that this work leads to for our students. So I'll start by saying, and David, I think it was you that said, and as finishing my first year, there's this balance of like a sense of urgency, but going the right pace as a leader to make sure you're moving the organization forward, but not at a rate that is leaving folks behind and all that. And I think, David, you did say at some point this year, man, I wrote the quote down, man, we've done more or accomplished more in the last 2 weeks than we did in the last 2 years. Was that you or is that Jen? I don't remember. I think you made a comment. Was it Jen? Okay. So I'll just talk a little bit through, at the beginning there, we worked to establish and implement our performance and process targets. And that has allowed the system to focus the resources meaning our time and our funding towards specific targets and tools that will afford our students the best opportunity to be successful. Our professional learning communities are identified as one of our process targets, and this has allowed the Ed Services team to support sites with the development of their single plans for student achievement. Their SIPSs aligned to that, to be more aligned and focused on deepening professional learning and commitment to the PLC process. Upcoming related to this, YK, I know it's really important to you and it's really important for improvement science to be able to measure what you want to improve. So the district will be, the sites are already working with the dashboard, but we are at the district level, and what will be presented throughout the year next year for the board is a scorecard that we can measure our progress in real time throughout the year, so we can see the results of the governance team's investments. And so I'm really excited about seeing that. In the fall, the district was issued an A+ credit rating. Believe it or not, school districts have credit ratings. The rating during an unstable and uncertain financial and fiscal landscape allows us to borrow at the most competitive rates, which in turn allows us to maximize taxpayer dollars for facility improvements. As a reminder, with a very short timeline last fall, the district was able to build enough support to overwhelmingly pass Measure R and S. This effort took an all-hands-on-deck approach, which really galvanized our team early on in the school year. And those bonds will be very significant in improving some of our older schools in the Rancho Cordova community. From that, a lot of planning is happening with the board approving the comprehensive facility master plan. As the board knows, I shared the video a couple weeks ago, just as a highlight on our students, Van and Mia. But I think you saw the impressive nature of that investment, and what that will ultimately end up resulting in at the end of the summer, early fall, is a document for our district to use for the next 10 to 15 years that creates a North Star to provide direction for our district and our community on our facilities investments. And I'm really impressed that work is happening for our district. We have established our collective commitments. Some momentum is growing in, and calling this the FC way. We'll see if that lands, but our collective commitments, number one is to care for people. Number two is to coach and be coachable. Number three is to adapt, adopt, and abandon practices. Number four is to be curious. And number five is be accountable. And when I talk about this, it's really important that our organization is oriented towards all five of these equally, so that we make sure to continue to get 1% better every day, YK. So from one of our performance targets is third grade literacy. We've established Rancho Reads. Rancho Reads is a wide-ranging initiative that not only includes our district, but also the city of Rancho Cordova and the County Office of Education. All of these three entities, and I think it's unprecedented, have all adopted a resolution for literacy. And so literacy in our community is going to be a three-legged stool, because it's going to take all hands on deck to make sure that all of our students are at or above grade level in third grade in our district. I wanted to continue to talk a little bit about the progress we've made on Rancho Reads with a partnership of Child Action, who provides subsidized before and after school childcare, along with United Way and their philanthropy. We'll be next year opening up some fully sponsored kinder camps in our schools during summer. That's getting kids ready for kindergarten, and this is fully sponsored by philanthropy, so in a tight budget time. finding philanthropy is really, really important. And these kinder camps are going to be focused on literacy. Also through this partnership, we've established in partnership with the city and their Measure H investments, along with United Way, we have an investment towards the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which in our Rancho Cordova community, we're not exactly sure on what age level, but we know that we believe that all 3 and 4-year-olds will get a buck a month until they turn age 5 with that investment. As I've talked to this board and this community about literacy and being at or above grade level literacy in 3rd grade doesn't start when students arrive on our doorstep. It starts from birth. And we also know the impacts of poverty on early literacy, and we want to support our families and our community in every way possible. And that's why the city has partnered with us, and that's why the county office is partnering with us, and why we're leaning in really heavily on making sure that all of our students have access to texts, access to good instruction, and all the things that are necessary pre-school, before they get to our schools from 0 to age. We start having them now arrive at 3, but 4 and 5, the traditional kindergarten. So we've talked a lot about this year about students first and teammates always. And I'm seeing throughout the organization being really mindful in our decision-making around keeping students in the center. And as I've talked about improvement with this board and with this district, sometimes that's a very itchy sweater because we will not choose adult comfort on the backs of our kids. And sometimes that's a really hard thing to do, but that's why the teammates always comes, because that's not personal. We are all here to give our heart and soul every single day to make sure that our students, again, have an opportunity to chase their dreams. So along with that, we've done a lot around in the equity spaces and providing a unity toolkit for teachers. But one of the things that I'm really proud of as well that we're doing is that we're through our connections to throughout the state and into the best systems throughout the state, we're partnering with districts that are outperforming predictable outcomes for their students and making sure that we're being curious as one of our collective commitments and learning from them. So the team has done a lot of work with Garden Grove. I've talked to this board about the progress and the amazing outcomes they get in Garden Grove Unified School District. And I'm always constantly reminded that the leadership there has been there for about 26 years. And so can't get there in year 1, but we're working with them on learning more about Freshmen on Track, making sure that our students are graduating college and career ready and A through G. And what was mentioned, a lever that we've pulled on that was talked about earlier tonight, that we have for the very first time in our district's history, that I believe in our district's history, that we will have college courses through dual enrollment on our high school transcripts for our students, which is quite an accomplishment and really, really important for our students. So last and certainly not least, I've talked a lot about this year about Folsom Cordova Unified School District being the gold standard when it comes to customer service. And this is related to our system-wide connectedness metric for our students, for our staff, for our families, and for the larger community. We want to make sure that our families and our students and our teachers and staff are very excited to wake up every day and go to their place of work or their place to learn. And so one of the things that we've established and all employees in the district will be trained on prior to the start of next year is our welcoming school district standards. It is a very comprehensive list of what our expectations are on how we welcome families and students and teachers into our communities, whether that's at the front door of a school or into this office or onboarding our employees into our organization, because every time we onboard an employee, we onboard them with the idea that they're going to be here for the next 30 to 50 years. And so we want to make sure that their first experiences in our organization are really supportive and helpful. So I just wanted to kind of go through just some of the things. There's a lot more I could list, but I know for the sake of time, we're not trying to break any board meeting records. But I've just been so impressed in my first year and so humbled by the team that I have the good fortune to work with every single day. I think I visited, I probably made about 180 site visits this year to our different sites. One of the things I said in my final report to you guys, I wanted to have that sense of feeling everywhere, whether it was an SAB meeting and I will say this as the last thing that I'll say, quite selfishly and rewarding. I was recognized by students at each of the graduations, which as a superintendent, I didn't think was possible. And that was the most heartwarming thing that I was able to celebrate with our students of all of our graduates in all of our different schools this year, whether it be a promotion or a graduation. So thank you again to our classified and our certificated and administrative teammates. Thank you to this governance team. Thanks for all the folks who do all the hard and heavy work behind the scenes that make it possible for our staff and our students to be proud to be part of the FC way. So thank you so much for an amazing first year.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Swanson. I'm taken aback because that is the longest presentation report that you have given this year. It was kind of like a year in review, so
I figure it's the last meeting, right?
Yeah, I mean, you put it all out there. He deserves a hand, actually, absolutely. All right, thank you, sir. We will move on to board member reports. Board member Reed?
My shortest report, no report.
All right. Board Member Charles Machola?
I know we can't yield time speakers, but I yield my time for Superintendent Swanson. That's why he was speaking. No, it's awesome. It helps me to see the 360 degrees, even though some of those reports, I read. I know last meeting, Matt, I know it's in any way we were questioning the processes you and your elite excellent team was following. It is about the time to revamp, enhance after a long time. And David, you explaining those 8 steps, progressive improvements are very welcoming. I just want to, thank you to start with supporting them and, going with this new approach because there is a dollar involved in that. We are struggling. I know Mr. Martin always tells us, it's a dollar. We don't know, unknown dollars out there, we don't know what we get. So it's Sean, thank you again for your leadership as well. On you care about every penny in this district, how this is spent as well. So those are the kudos, especially for teachers and everybody. Awesome. And it's a holiday season. That's how I am seeing it from Superintendent Swanson. This is my 6 months is done. I want to special thanks to Rashal for, supporting me in all the aspects as a newbie. I still ask those dumb questions. I don't have access to that Google Drive. That's okay. Anyways, it's a learning curve, but otherwise for all cabinet and immediate staff, thank you. And my colleagues, thank you for giving me a lift. I think I'm ready for next school year. That's the pitch I'm trying to give here. I'm ready for 2025, 2026.
All right, thank you, sir. Board Member Lofthouse?
I also have very short, just happy Juneteenth tomorrow. I know that the district is taking the day off too, so enjoy your days off. Happy Pride Month. Have a safe and restful summer. And I was going to say see you in August, but I guess we'll be seeing everybody in July now. So that's all.
All right, thank you, ma'am. In closing, I would like to recognize someone special out in the audience, retired CSEA rep and retired employee, Omira. It is so nice to see you out. You've been watching the meeting. I thought maybe you were going to come up to the podium and fuss at us about something, but no, that didn't happen. But I'm just glad that you're here, and I'm happy to see you. Here's to another school year. Believe it or not, it went by really fast. But I guess, I was talking to my dad on Father's Day, and he says, son, the older you get, the faster the time goes by. And I'm starting to believe that. But anyway, it was a great year. I will apologize to a couple of schools out there that I only was out there a couple of times. I should have been out there more. Moving forward, I'll have a little time to get out to the schools a little bit and hang out in the classroom. Thank you, teachers, for your work. Thank you, staff here and cabinet, for all your hard work. I appreciate it. Thank you, Superintendent Swanson, for everything that you've done so far. You're starting to set that bar pretty high, and I appreciate what you're doing. Also, I had the opportunity today to visit Cordova Gardens and their Freedom School. And I tell you, that is just the best program that we can have over the summer. And Kate, thank you for everything and putting that together. There were students from all over in Rancho Cordova, but there was actually one, I believe, from Gallardo that was enrolled in Freedom School. So I had the opportunity to read to that class and bait them into singing the Good Morning song a couple of times. So that was fun. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody for their work. You know, we will be meeting soon. You know, our governance team, we still have a workshop that we need to do. So I look forward to setting a date for that. But other than that, I wish everybody a restful summer. Take care of you and yours, and let's reset and start our 25-26 school year on a positive note. With that being said, we will move on to advanced planning. And I just want to make sure that we talk about math a little bit more, and we put that on the agenda, not as a TBD, but put a solid date on the agenda. So Superintendent, if you can look into that, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, I don't have any other advanced planning or things to put on the agenda. We're looking at the 12-month calendar. Our next board meeting, special board meeting is July.
Regular board meeting will be July 10th. So that's
July 10th.
That is wrong, but showing, but
right.
We did announce that and we'll update that.
Yes. So, but yeah, and unless the board has anything else.
And Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
At the last regularly scheduled meeting, I had mentioned bringing up to have the board discuss an audit committee, but I'm going to wait until we have the full board here for that.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to close the loop on that one.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, sir.
And President, you did suggest a presentation from,
FCCC.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that reminder.
Consensus from the board on that, I would assume. Okay.
Let's see. I don't think there's going to be much push on that ledge action on the land trust. CSBA is not moving on that right now. And maybe that's something that we can take off. I'm just noticing that right now.
Actually, I would like to keep that on there, and if CSBA isn't getting a lot of action, I'd like to maybe consider approaching our legislators and see if they would be willing to introduce a legislation that would allow California school districts to create an arrangement with the Native American communities to potentially get some benefit from properties that are no longer needed by school districts at their discretion.
Okay. I agree with you. I think that would probably light a fire under us or under CSBA. So yeah, we'll keep it on there. Thank you. Any other items that we're looking at for the board? Okay, hearing none, we will recess back into closed session. However, I wanted to maybe take a 10-minute break before we do go back into closed session. So is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay, with that being said, we will adjourn this meeting, 10-minute recess, and then we'll head into closed session. Thank you.